The crestside creeper. Vallejo's crestside neighborhood wasn't the kind of place you went after dark. The crumbling houses, litter-strewn streets, and flickering streetlights painted a picture of despair. It was a place where the air carried the acrid tang of burnt chemicals from makeshift meth labs, and gunshots rang out so frequently they barely drew attention anymore. But the most terrifying thing about Crestside wasn't the drugs or the gang violence. It was the legend of the Crestside Creeper. Everyone in the neighborhood had heard of him, a shadowy figure. One cold November night, Maria Alvarez sat alone in her small, dilapidated home. She'd lived in Crestside her entire life, raising her 2 kids on her own. But tonight, her children were staying with their grandmother in a safer part of town, leaving Maria to spend the night in uneasy silence. The wind howled outside, rattling the loose window panes. Maria double-checked the locks on her front door and every window, her heart racing with each twist of the latch. The creeper hadn't struck in months, but the fear lingered. As she settled into the worn couch with a blanket and an old movie, a sudden knock at the door made her jump. It was soft, almost hesitant. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Nobody visited her this late, and the knock didn't sound friendly. Another knock came, this one louder. "Who is it?" Maria called out, her voice trembling. No response. Maria's stomach knotted. She grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter and approached the door cautiously. Peering through the peephole, she saw nothing but darkness. "Go away!" she shouted, hoping to scare off whoever it was. Then she heard it, a low, guttural chuckle, barely audible but chilling. Maria backed away from the door, her knife clutched tightly in her hand. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the house into darkness. "Damn it," she muttered, fumbling for her phone. The flashlight illuminated the small living room, casting long, eerie shadows. A loud crash came from the back of the house. Maria froze, her breath caught in her throat. Someone was inside. "Get out of my house," she screamed, her voice breaking. Silence. Then came the slow, deliberate sound of footsteps, growing closer. Maria's mind raced. The front door was too far, and whoever was inside was between her and the back exit. She ducked into the hallway closet, shutting the door as quietly as she could. She pressed a hand over her mouth, trying to stifle her breathing. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied by the sound of something dragging across the floor. Maria's heart pounded so hard she thought it would give her away. "Maria." Her blood turned to ice. The voice was low and raspy, drawn out like a snake's hiss. She didn't recognize it, but the way it said her name made her feel exposed, as though the intruder could see her through the closet door. The dragging sound stopped just outside the closet. Maria clenched the knife so tightly her knuckles turned white. Tears streamed down her face as she prayed silently. The door handle rattled. Then, with a deafening crash, the door was wrenched open. Maria screamed and lashed out with the knife, the blade slicing through air. A large hand grabbed her wrist, slamming it against the wall. She dropped the knife, her vision blurring from the pain. Standing before her was a tall, gaunt figure in a mask that looked like a patchwork of flesh. The eyes behind it were dark and soulless, filled with a kind of malice she'd never seen before. In his other hand, he held a crowbar, the edge stained with something dark and sticky. Maria kicked and thrashed, but he overpowered her, dragging her into the living room. He didn't say a word, only humming an off-key tune as he tied her to a chair with duct tape. She begged for her life, sobbing and pleading, but the creeper ignored her. He moved methodically, laying out his tools on the coffee table, a knife, pliers, a hammer. Hours later, the neighbors reported hearing muffled screams and laughter echoing from Maria's house. By the time the police arrived, the front door was wide open and the house was empty. The living room walls were splattered with blood, and Maria's chair sat in the center of the room, the duct tape shredded. Her body was never found. But on the coffee table, the police found a single item, Her kitchen knife, its blade bent and smeared with fresh blood. The crestside creeper had claimed another victim, and the legend lived on,